How did my mom open her front door and find divorce papers with my name on them? Like a public announcement. Why did my husband choose her house, not ours, to start the end? What proof did he collect while I laughed and told everyone he was just jealous? My name is Evadne Thorne, and I never liked the way people said the word wife like it meant I had to shrink. I worked as a billing coordinator at a dental clinic, and I was good at it. I fixed numbers. I fixed mistakes. I fixed other people's problems all day. So when I came home, I felt I deserved peace. Graham did not understand that. He acted like peace meant silence and rules. I saw it as space to breathe. That morning, our kitchen felt too small. Piper sat at the table with her cereal, and she asked why Dad was packing her lunch again. I told her he liked to do it. Graham looked at me and asked what time I would be home. I said I had to stop by my mum's after work. He asked why it had to be today. I said Mum needed help with errands. He nodded, but he kept his eyes on me a second too long, like he was counting my words. Graham was not loud. That was part of the problem. When a man yelled, you could point at it. You could show people. With Graham, it was always calm. He had that slow voice that made me sound wild if I spoke fast. He asked if I could pick up allergy medicine for Piper. I said I would try. He asked if I could text when I left work. I told him he was doing too much, and I said he acted like a manager, not a husband. He sighed and said he just wanted to plan dinner. I told him planning dinner was not an emergency. In my head, I had already chosen my plan. It was simple. I would tell the same lie I told before. I would say I was at my mom's. I would drive to a coffee shop by the highway, the one with tinted windows and quick parking. Lucas liked that place. He said it felt like a hidden corner where nobody asked questions. When I thought about Lucas, I felt young in a way I missed. With Graham, I felt watched. With Lucas, I felt seen. At the clinic, I moved through my day like normal. I processed claims and answered patient calls. Dana, my manager, asked if I could stay 10 minutes late to help with a billing issue. I said I could, but I also said I had family stuff after work. Dana nodded and said family always came first. Then she looked at the clock over my desk. I felt her eyes on my screen like she could read my life through a spreadsheet. In the break room, Marisol sent me messages. She asked if I was still coming to brunch on Sunday. I said yes. She asked if Graham was being weird again. I told her he was on his control thing. She replied with a laughing emoji and said, "Men only act like that when they know they are losing." That line made me feel strong. I wanted to believe Graham was losing me because he was failing, not because I was choosing someone else. I kept telling myself I was not cheating. I was meeting an ex. That was all. Lucas and I had history, and history was real. Graham did not have the right to lock my past away like a box in a closet. If he was mature, he would trust me. I said that to myself while I clicked through insurance codes and watched the minutes. When my shift ended, I did not go to my mum's. I walked to the parking lot and sat in my car with my phone in my hand. I texted Graham that I was leaving work and heading to Mum's. I added a small heart like a soft pillow over a hard lie. He replied fast and asked if I could still get the medicine. I said yes, and I said I would be home after. He sent a thumbs up. It looked calm. It felt like he was saving it. I drove toward the highway. I told myself I had earned this. I told myself Graham had pushed me here with his questions and his quiet judging face. I told myself that if he wanted a wife who only went from work to home, he should have married someone boring. I was not boring. I was a person with needs. At the coffee shop, Lucas was already there. He stood near the side wall, not at the front counter, like he knew how to hide in plain sight. He hugged me in a quick way that still made my skin wake up. He asked why I looked tired. I said marriage did that. He said I deserved more fun. I told him Graham had been acting like a guard lately. Lucas smiled and said some men only understand consequences. We talked about old memories. We talked about his work and my work. He said he missed how I used to laugh. I said I still laughed, but my husband did not like it. Lucas said Graham sounded insecure. I nodded, because it fit the story I needed. When Lucas asked if Graham knew we were talking again, I said Graham did not need to know everything. I told Lucas that privacy was not betrayal. Lucas said that sounded like freedom. I liked that word. I checked the time too often. I told Lucas I could not stay long. He asked if I was scared. I said I was not scared, just busy. He asked if Graham ever tried to tell me what to wear. I said he did, even though it was not true in that way. Graham did not tell me what to wear. He only made faces when I dressed up, like he wanted to ask who I was dressing up for. I turned those faces into words in my own mind because it helped me. It made him the villain. It made me the person escaping. When I got back into my car, I felt both light and angry. Light because Lucas gave me attention without asking for proof of where I was. Angry because I knew I would have to go home and act normal. I drove toward the pharmacy because I needed something real to hold, something I could show if Graham asked again. I bought the medicine and kept the receipt in my wallet like a shield. At home, Graham was in the hallway with Piper's backpack open on the floor. He asked how my mum was doing. I said she was fine, just stressed. He asked what errands I did. I said groceries and a bank stop. He nodded again, slow and quiet. Piper ran to me and asked if Grandma gave her cookies. I said Grandma forgot. Piper looked disappointed and said Grandma never forgot cookies. I told her she was making a big deal out of nothing. Graham went to the kitchen and poured Piper water. He asked if I could help with her reading sheet. I said I would after I changed clothes. When I walked past his phone on the counter, the screen lit up. I saw a calendar reminder that said downtown, 9:10 a.m. I did not know what that was. I should not have cared, but I did. He turned the phone over without looking at it, like he knew I was there. Later, when Piper was in bed, Graham asked if I could sit for a minute. I said I was tired. He said he was tired too. He asked why my mom did not text him back when he thanked her for the help today. My stomach dropped. I asked what he meant. He said he had sent her a polite message. I told him Mom was bad at phones. He looked at me, calm again, and said he understood. He went to rinse a cup, and I stood alone in the kitchen, listening to the water run. I told myself he was overthinking. I told myself it was not my fault he chose to message my mom. Still, my hands felt cold. I looked at the front window and saw the streetlights on the driveway. For a second, I thought I saw a car far away, parked in the shadow near the corner, facing the street. Then it was gone, or maybe it was never there at all. The next day at work, I tried to act normal. I wore my clean scrubs, I tied my hair back, and I smiled at patients like my life was not a secret show. I told myself I could hold 2 lives at once. People did it all the time. I only needed better timing. Dana called me into her office for a short talk. She asked if everything was okay at home because she had noticed I looked tired. I said I was fine, just busy. She said the schedule was tight this month, and she needed everyone to be accurate with hours. I told her I was always accurate. She looked at her screen and said there were a few gaps last week, like I clocked out, then clocked back in later, then left again. I laughed like it was nothing and said the system was old and probably glitchy. Dana did not laugh. She said she just wanted to check because payroll was a serious thing. I walked back to my desk with heat in my face. I told myself Dana was being picky. I told myself it was unfair that my job could see more of me than my husband could. Then I used that feeling. I turned it into a story where I was the one under pressure, always watched, always judged. It fit too well. In the break room, I texted Marisol. I told her Dana was on my case about time logs, and it was because my husband stressed me out. Marisol replied fast and asked if Graham was still acting like I was his property. I said yes, and I said he questioned me about my mum again. Marisol wrote that men like that only understood public shame. She said I should stop protecting him. She said if I kept it quiet, people would assume I was the problem. That idea felt like air. It felt like a way out. If everyone saw Graham as the villain, then I would not have to explain my choices. I could just point and say I was surviving. So I made a post that afternoon. I did not name him. I did not say the word cheating. I wrote a soft sentence about living with constant suspicion and being tired of proving my innocence. I added a song and a black and white filter. I knew what I was doing. I wanted people to ask. I wanted them to fill in the blanks for me. Within an hour, my phone lit up with reactions. A coworker sent a heart. An old friend asked if I needed to talk. Marisol replied with a comment that said I deserved peace. I told myself it was not lying. I told myself it was my truth. I did not say I was innocent. I only let them believe it. When I got home, Graham was in the kitchen with Piper. He was helping her trace letters on a worksheet. Piper looked up and asked if we could go to the park after dinner. Graham said they could go if homework was done. He asked if I wanted to come too. His voice was calm, like he was trying to be normal on purpose. I said I had a headache and needed a quiet night. He asked if my mum was feeling better. I said yes. He asked if she needed help again soon. I said I did not know. He nodded. Then he asked if I saw his message to Helena. I said I did not check. He said he had thanked her for having me over. I felt a small twist in my stomach again. I said Mum was busy and probably did not answer. He said he understood. After Piper went to bed, Graham asked if I could sit with him for a minute. I said I was tired. He said he was not trying to fight. He asked why I posted that story online. I acted surprised and asked what story. He said he saw it because Marisol tagged him in a comment. I told him it was not about him. He said it looked like it was. I said people could read anything into anything, and I said it was not my job to control their thoughts. He asked if I wanted strangers to think he was hurting me. I said he should not worry about strangers if he had nothing to hide. I watched his face when I said it. His eyes went hard for a second, then soft again. He asked what he did that made me feel constant suspicion. I said he asked too many questions. He said asking questions was not a crime. I said it was a type of control. He said he only asked because my answers changed. I said he was twisting things. And I said I was allowed to have a life. He did not shout. He did not call me names. He only said he did not like being talked about like a villain. I told him he could stop acting like one then. I said if he wanted respect, he should give trust. In my head, that sounded clean and fair. I ignored the part where I was lying. On Sunday, I went to brunch with Marisol and 2 other women from her circle. We sat on a patio with heat lamps and loud music. Marisol asked how things were at home. I said Graham was colder than ever. She asked if he still tracked my phone. I said he tried, even though he did not. One of the women asked if I felt safe. I said I felt watched, and I said it was almost worse than being yelled at. They nodded like they understood something deep. Marisol said a man who was secure did not need to monitor. She said Graham was probably scared I would leave. I smiled and said maybe. I let them talk. I let them build him into a monster. I did not correct a single thing. It felt good to be the victim for once. It felt like I was winning. When I came home from brunch, Graham was in the driveway washing Piper's small bike with a hose. He looked up and asked if brunch was good. I said it was fine. He asked who was there. I said friends. He asked if I saw the comments on my post. I said I did not care. He said he cared because Piper's teacher followed Marisol, and people talked. I told him he was paranoid. He said he was trying to protect our child from gossip. I said he was trying to control me through the child. That night, I went upstairs to grab a sweater from the guest room closet because the house felt cold. The guest room door was not fully closed. I pushed it open and saw Graham's laptop on the small desk. The screen was dark, but the lid was warm, like it had been used. I saw a neat stack of folders on the side. One of them had a label that said bank. Another said utilities. I did not touch them, but my eyes stayed there. Behind me, I heard a soft click, like a drawer locking. I turned and saw Graham in the hallway. He asked if I needed something. I said I was getting a sweater. He nodded and said okay. His voice was plain. Then I heard a low hum from somewhere downstairs, like a shredder running for a few seconds, then stopping. I walked back to my room with the sweater in my hands. I told myself he was being dramatic. I told myself he was trying to scare me into behaving. Still, I could not shake the feeling that he was building something I could not see. And the worst part was how calm he looked while he did it. By Friday, I was tired of Graham's quiet face. I was tired of his calm questions and his careful pauses. It felt like he was turning our house into a courtroom without saying the word. I told myself I had to take control back. If he wanted to act suspicious, I would show him what suspicion looked like. I would make him the problem in front of people. Then, he would either change or break. Either way, I would not feel trapped. Marisol texted me about a rooftop bar downtown. She said it would be crowded and fun, and she said I needed to remember who I was. I replied that I could go, but I had to be home before midnight because Piper had been coughing. Marisol sent a laughing emoji and said I was not a babysitter. She said Graham could handle one night. I told Graham I was going out after work. He asked where. I said downtown with friends. He asked if Lucas would be there. I acted offended and asked why he would ask that. He said he saw Lucas in a photo tag from last week. I said Lucas was just a friend, and he was reading too much into everything. Graham said he would stay home with Piper. He asked what time I planned to come back. I said I did not know, and I said I did not like being timed. He said he was not timing me, he was planning the child's night. I said he always used Piper as an excuse to control me. At work, Dana asked if I could cover one more patient billing call. I said yes, but I watched the clock. I wanted to get to the bar early. I wanted the feeling of being in a room where no one asked me for proof. During lunch, Lucas texted me a short line asking if I was free tonight. I stared at it longer than I should have. I replied that I might be out with friends. He asked where. I told him the rooftop bar. He replied that he could stop by for a drink. I told myself it was normal. It was only a drink. People met friends. People had lives. Before I left the clinic, I took a selfie in the bathroom mirror. I looked good. I posted it with a song and a caption about choosing joy. Marisol reposted it and wrote that I was glowing again. I felt like I was stepping into a story where I was the main character, not Graham's wife. The rooftop bar was loud. The air smelled like perfume and hot metal from the heaters. Strings of lights hung over the crowd, and everyone held phones up like they were holding small candles. Marisol hugged me and told me I looked amazing. She asked if Graham made any comments about my outfit. I said he always did, even though he mostly made faces. She rolled her eyes and said he was insecure. That word again. Insecure. It was a gift because it made me feel superior. Lucas arrived about 20 minutes later. He did not come alone. He came like he belonged there. He smiled at me like we had a private joke. He asked if I was okay. I said I was better now. Marisol saw him and grinned like she had invited him herself. She asked if he was the famous Lucas. He said yes and acted humble. She laughed and said she liked a man with confidence. I watched the way she looked at him, like she was watching a movie. It made me feel powerful, like my life was interesting enough to entertain others. We took group photos. Marisol told us to get closer because the background looked good. Lucas put his hand on my shoulder. It was casual, but it was also not. I let it happen because it felt like a statement. A coworker from the clinic recognized me and waved. She asked who everyone was. I introduced Lucas as an old friend. She smiled and said he was handsome. I laughed and said he always had been. My phone buzzed. It was Graham asking how Piper was doing. I did not answer right away. Marisol leaned over and asked if he was checking in. I said yes, and I said he could not go 1 hour without needing me. She told me to ignore him. She said men like that needed consequences. I put the phone face down on the table like it was nothing. Later, Graham called. I stepped away toward the railing so the noise would hide my voice. He asked if I could come home soon because Piper had a fever. I said he could handle it, and I said I was not a doctor. He said she was asking for me. I said kids always asked for the parent who was not there. He asked if Lucas was with me. I said no, and I lied with a straight voice. Graham was quiet for a second, then he said he was coming to pick me up. I felt heat rise in my chest. I told him he was embarrassing me. He said he was not trying to embarrass me. He said our child was sick. I told him he was using Piper to control me again. He said he was not controlling me. He was asking me to be a mother. I said I was a mother every day, and I deserved one night. When Graham arrived, he did not storm in. He did not shout across the crowd. He stood near the entrance where the elevator doors opened and scanned the room. The lights hit his face and made him look older. He walked toward me, calm and straight. Marisol saw him and whispered that he looked like a security guard. She laughed. I laughed too, because I wanted everyone to laugh. If everyone laughed, then he would be wrong. Graham asked quietly if we could go. I said no. I said he was overreacting. He said Piper had a fever and he had already given medicine, but she kept crying. I said he should comfort her better. He asked who the man next to me was. I said it was Lucas and he was just a friend. Lucas stepped back a little, like he did not want to be part of it, but he stayed close enough to watch. Marisol raised her phone and started filming. Not directly, but I could see her camera pointed near us. She said she loved real-life drama. People nearby looked over. I felt a rush. This was what I wanted. Witnesses. A scene where Graham would look controlling, and I would look trapped. I told Graham he was ruining my night. I said he was acting jealous and weird. I said he always tried to police me. Some people nodded like they agreed, even though they did not know anything. Graham did not take the bait. He did not argue back. He only said he was taking me home because our child needed us. His calm made me feel smaller, and I hated that, so I pushed harder. I said if he wanted to act like a husband, he should learn how to keep a wife. I said respect followed results, and he had no results. Marisol made an oof sound and laughed again. On the ride back, Graham drove with both hands on the wheel. He asked why I lied about Lucas. I said I did not lie. I just did not tell him every detail. He said that was lying. I said he was dramatic. He said he was tired. I said he was tired because he made problems where there were none. He asked if I understood what it did to Piper when we fought. I said he was the one who came to the bar. He said he only came because Piper was sick. I said he should have called my mom if he wanted help. He did not answer. At home, Piper was in bed with wet hair stuck to her forehead. She reached toward me and asked where I was. I said I was helping Grandma earlier, and I got delayed. Piper asked why Dad looked sad. I said Dad was just stressed. Graham stood by the doorway and watched me like I was a stranger. He went to the kitchen and rinsed a cup, slow and careful, like every movement had a reason. When I finally went downstairs for water, I heard a tiny beep from Graham's phone, like an app starting and stopping. I saw him set 2 clean mugs on opposite sides of the counter, not touching. He looked at me and asked if I could please stop making things public. I said he should stop giving me reasons. He nodded once, like he had accepted something. That night, I woke up to a sound in the hallway. It was the printer. I saw a blank page slide out into the tray, then another. The house smelled like toner, sharp and dry. I sat up and listened to the quiet after, and I told myself he was only trying to scare me. But my stomach still turned, because for the first time, I wondered if he was not trying to scare me at all. I wondered if he was preparing. The weekend after the rooftop bar, my mom invited us for dinner. She said it like it was a simple reset. She said family meals fixed moods. I knew what she really meant. She wanted to see Graham. She wanted to measure him. She wanted to decide if he was still useful for the picture she liked to show people. I told Graham we should go because it would look bad if we didn't. He asked if I wanted to go, or if I wanted my mum to judge him. I said he was being negative. He said he was being realistic. Piper heard us and asked if Grandma would have cookies this time. I said yes, even though I didn't know. It was easier to promise a cookie than explain a marriage. At my mum's house, the air always smelled like lemon cleaner. Everything was bright, like she cleaned away any sign of mess before it could exist. She hugged Piper first, then hugged me, and then she hugged Graham like he was a guest. She asked how work was. Graham said it was fine. She asked if he was still so busy. He said yes, but he kept it polite. My brother Reese came in late and looked at me like he already knew something was wrong. He asked how I was doing. I said I was good. He asked if Graham was doing okay. I said Graham was the one making things hard. Reese did not argue. He just said he hoped Piper was okay. Dinner started fine. My mum asked Piper about school. Piper said she got a star sticker for reading. Mum clapped too loud and said she was proud. Then Mum turned to Graham and asked if he felt proud too. Graham said yes, and he smiled at Piper. It was a soft smile. It made me feel annoyed, because it made him look like the good parent. When my mom finally turned to me, she asked if I looked tired because I did everything alone. I heard the door open in that sentence. I stepped through it. I said I was tired, and I said it was hard to feel supported when someone always assumed the worst. My mom asked what I meant. I said Graham watched me like I was guilty. I said it was exhausting to be questioned like a child. Graham did not defend himself. He only looked down at his plate. That made me push harder. I said it hurt when your own husband didn't trust you. I said it made a woman feel small. My mum nodded fast, like she wanted the story to be true. Reese stared at his glass and didn't speak. Graham finally looked up and asked what questions I meant. I said all of them. I said when he asked where I went, when he asked who I was with, when he asked what time I would be home. He said he asked because I stopped telling him without being asked. I told him he was twisting things again. I told my mom he did that often. My mom said she didn't like that kind of behavior. She said a husband should be a safe place, not a detective. Graham stayed calm. He said he agreed a home should feel safe. He said he wanted that too. He said he didn't want fights in front of Piper. My mom said he shouldn't start fights then. I jumped in and said exactly, like I was confirming evidence in a trial. After dinner, Reese helped clear plates. He leaned close and asked quietly if I was telling the whole truth. I asked what he meant. He said I seemed different lately, like I had a second life in my head. I laughed and said he watched too many crime shows. He didn't laugh back. He said he just didn't want Piper hurt. I told him to stay out of my marriage. On the drive home, Graham didn't talk much. Piper hummed in the back seat. I asked Graham if he was upset. He said no. He said he heard what was said. I told him my mum only said it because she cared. He said he understood. His voice sounded like a door closing without a slam. A few days later, there was a family birthday dinner at a restaurant. Long table, too many plates, too many eyes. Both families came. My mum sat near me like a guard. Nora and Stan sat across, quiet and neat. Graham sat between them and Piper. He kept Piper's napkin straight and cut her food into small pieces. People noticed. People always notice who does the small things. My mum started talking about healthy boundaries. She looked right at Graham when she said it. She said no one should control another person with jealousy. Marisol was there too, because she said she wanted to support me. She nodded loudly and said it was true. She told a story about her own ex, how he tried to keep her from friends. I knew she was aiming it at Graham. I let her do it. Graham listened. He did not react the way I wanted. He didn't argue. He didn't snap. He only asked once what specific boundary I wanted. I said I wanted him to stop acting like I was lying. He asked if I could also stop using social posts to punish him. I said I didn't punish him. I said he punished himself by being difficult. Marisol asked Graham why he was so insecure. She said it in a sweet voice, like she was offering help. Graham looked at her and said he didn't want to discuss his marriage with an audience. Marisol laughed and said he was making it an audience by being dramatic. People around the table shifted in their chairs. Someone raised their phone for a quick clip, like it was entertainment. I leaned into it. I said it was fine, and I said transparency was healthy. I said I had nothing to hide. Graham looked at me for a long second. Then he looked away and focused on Piper. He asked Piper if she wanted more water. Piper nodded and said yes. She didn't look at me when she said it. After dinner, outside the restaurant, Piper tugged my sleeve and asked if Lucas was Dad's friend too. My face went hot. I asked why she would say that. Piper said she heard his name at the bar when Dad came. She said grown-ups said his name like it mattered. I told her she was too young to talk about grown-up stuff. Piper frowned and asked why Dad didn't smile at me anymore. I said Dad was tired. Nora walked up and asked if Piper could sleep over at her house that night, since Piper's cough was still coming and she had a humidifier ready. Graham said that would help. Nora asked me if it was okay. I wanted to say no, just to block them. But if I said no, I would look petty in front of everyone. So I said yes and acted like I was generous. In the parking lot, while Piper hugged Nora, I saw Graham hand his mother something small. It looked like a USB stick with a date written on it. Nora slipped it into her purse like it was normal. Graham noticed me watching and stepped in front of it, calm and casual. He asked if I needed help finding my keys. I said no. He said, okay. On the way home alone with Graham, the car felt empty without Piper's noise. I asked him what that was. He said it was nothing I needed to worry about. I said he was hiding things now. He said he was keeping things organized. I laughed and told him he was acting like a robot. He didn't argue. He only said he wanted a stable routine for Piper. That night, I stood in the kitchen and stared at our fridge like it could explain him. Graham put away dishes with quiet hands. He asked me, calm, to stop using my family as a shield. I said I wasn't using them. I said they just saw the truth. He looked at me and said the truth mattered, even when people clapped for a lie. I wanted to snap back, but something in his voice made me pause. It wasn't anger, it was a decision, and I hated that more than anger. By the time Monday came, I could feel the story slipping out of my hands. Graham was not begging, he was not yelling, he was not trying to win me back the way movies said men should. He was acting like a person who had stopped asking for permission to exist. That scared me, because I only knew how to control a man who still wanted my approval. At the clinic, I tried to stack my day with reasons. I told myself I was busy, I was stressed, I was doing my best. I even told Dana that home was tense. I said it with a small sigh like a hint. Dana asked if I needed time off. I said no, but I said the time clock had been glitchy, and I didn't want it to make me look bad. Dana said she would check it, then she asked me to keep my punches accurate anyway. She meant my hours, but it still sounded like a warning. During lunch, I hid in the supply closet and texted Lucas. I told him I missed him. I asked if we could meet later. He replied that he could, but he said we needed to be careful. He said he didn't want drama. That made me angry. I wanted him when it felt good, but I wanted him gone when it felt risky. I replied that Graham was just paranoid and nothing would happen. Lucas answered with a short line saying he hoped I was right. I used my mum again. I texted Graham that I would stop at Helena's after work because she needed help with forms. I picked that word on purpose because it sounded boring and responsible. Graham replied with okay. No question mark, no extra line, just okay. That single word felt like a door closing. When I got home that evening, the house looked different in small ways. Not messy, not dramatic, just rearranged. Piper's shoes were lined up near the door in a neat row. The mail was stacked and clipped. The living room looked like someone had removed extra things, like it was being made ready for strangers to see. Graham was at the counter, cutting fruit for Piper. He asked how my day was. I said fine. He asked if I was still going to my mum's tomorrow. I said yes. He nodded. Piper asked if she could sleep at Grandma Nora's again. Graham asked why. Piper said it was quieter there. I laughed like it was cute, but my throat tightened. After dinner, Graham washed the dishes without asking me to help. I asked if he was mad. He said he wasn't mad. I asked if he was punishing me by being cold. He said he wasn't punishing me. He said he was keeping things calm. I told him calm could be a weapon too. He looked at me and said he wasn't using weapons. Later, I walked past the guest room again. The door was closed this time. I put my hand on the knob and it didn't move. It was locked. I stood there like an idiot, staring at a door in my own house. Graham appeared behind me without a sound and asked if I needed something. I said I was looking for an extra blanket. He said there were blankets in the hall closet. He didn't move away from the guest room door until I stepped back. That night, I woke up thirsty and went downstairs. The kitchen light was off, but I could see a faint glow in the guest room under the door. I heard a small sound like a scanner or a printer warming up. Then nothing. When I went back toward the stairs, I saw Graham's laptop on the dining table for half a second. Tabs were open, but I couldn't read them. I only saw shapes and the word notary before he closed it. The next day, I went to my mum's house for real because I needed her on my side. I told her Graham was acting strange. I told her he was documenting things to control me. Helena scoffed and said, men did that when they wanted to scare women into staying. She asked if he threatened me. I said no, but I said he was trying to make me look bad. Helena said I should keep my head high and not let him trap me with fear. Reese was there too. He was fixing something in the hallway. He heard us talking and asked what was going on. I told him Graham was turning the marriage into a case file. Reese asked, carefully, if I had given Graham a reason to do that. I asked what he meant. Reese said he didn't want to accuse me, but he said Graham didn't seem like a man who made things up for fun. I told Reese he always took Graham's side because Graham was steady. Reese said being steady wasn't a crime. I told him he didn't understand relationships. I left my mum's house irritated but also weirdly shaky. In the car, I called Lucas. He answered, but he sounded distracted. I told him I felt stressed and I needed to see him. He said he was busy at work. I asked if he even cared. He said he cared, but he said he couldn't be the center of my storm. That line cut. I told him he was the one who told me I deserved more. Lucas said I did deserve more, but he said I needed to decide what I wanted. He said he wasn't going to fight my husband. He said he wasn't going to be in court. The word court hit my ear like a slap, even though he didn't say it like a threat. At home, Graham had already picked up Piper from school. Piper sat on the couch coloring. Graham asked if I could talk for a minute, and he gestured toward the kitchen. His tone was polite. That made me mad, because politeness meant he didn't need me. He asked me to stop posting about our marriage. He said it was affecting Piper. I said it was my account and my voice. He asked me to stop bringing Lucas around our child's life, even indirectly. I said Lucas wasn't around her. Graham said Piper knew his name. I said kids repeated things. Graham said kids repeated what mattered. I tried a different tactic. I told him he had made me lonely. I said he didn't touch me enough, didn't flirt, didn't chase me. I said a woman needed to feel wanted. Graham listened without interrupting. Then he asked if I wanted marriage counseling. I said counseling was for people who both tried. He said he had been trying for years. I laughed and said he tried in boring ways. He looked at the counter for a second, then back at me. He said he wasn't going to argue anymore. He said he would handle things properly. He said it slow, like a promise to himself, not a threat to me. I asked what that meant. He said it meant no yelling, No scenes, no games. He said he would do it the right way. I wanted to spit back something sharp. I wanted to push him into anger so I could point at it. But he didn't give me the shape I needed. He walked past me, checked on Piper, and asked her if she wanted a bath. Piper nodded. Graham didn't look at me when he said it. My phone buzzed while I stood there in the kitchen, alone with my thoughts. It was my mom. The preview line showed only a few words, but they made my stomach drop. Someone came to the door asking for you. My mom's voice sounded tight when she called. She said someone came to the door and asked for me by my full name. She said the person was polite and didn't argue. She said he left an envelope and told her it was important. I asked if she opened it. She said she didn't, but she held it like it was dirty. I drove to her house fast. I told myself it was a mistake. I told myself it was some scam, or a bill, or maybe something from the school. I even told myself Graham was bluffing, trying to scare me with words like properly. I kept repeating that in my head, like it could protect me. When I got there, my mum was standing in her living room with the envelope on the table. Reese was there too. He asked what happened. Mum said she didn't like strangers coming to her door about her daughter. I said Graham was being cruel. Reese asked if I was sure it was Graham. I said who else would do this? Then my mum slid the envelope toward me. My name was printed on it, not handwritten. Printed. My stomach dropped before I even touched it. I opened it, and I saw pages with thick headings and clean lines. I saw the words that made my face go hot: petition, dissolution, temporary orders. My mum asked what it meant. I said it was just a scare tactic. I said he was trying to embarrass me at her house. Reese leaned in and read a line. Then he looked at me like he finally understood something he didn't want to know. He asked quietly if this was because of Lucas. I told him to stop. I told him he didn't know anything. My phone buzzed. It was Graham. I didn't want to answer, but I did because my hands were shaking. He asked if I got the papers. I said he was disgusting for sending them to my mum's door. He said he used the address I kept claiming I was at. He said it was the only place he could be sure I would receive them. I told him that was unfair. He said fairness stopped when the lying became routine. He said there was a schedule starting today for Piper. He said he would pick her up after school and she would sleep at the house with him for the week. Then there would be a rotation. I said he couldn't do that. He said it was already ordered temporarily and it began immediately. He told me he wasn't keeping Piper from me. He said the plan was written and clear, so Piper didn't have to live inside our fights. My mom asked where Piper was right now. I told her she was at home. Reese said we should go. I said yes, but my voice sounded small. At the courthouse lobby, everything smelled like cleaning spray and old paper. People sat on hard benches and stared at their phones. Graham stood across the hall with Piper's coat folded over his arm. Piper held Nora's hand and looked sleepy, like she had been carried more than walked. Graham didn't glare at me. He didn't smirk. He looked calm, like a man who finally stopped waiting for me to be honest. A clerk called my name out loud. My mum flinched when she heard it. She whispered my name again, like she couldn't believe it was real. Reese stared at the floor. Nora kept her eyes on Piper. I opened the packet again, and this time I read the part I wanted to avoid. It said I couldn't drain the joint account. It said I couldn't bring overnight guests around Piper. It said the house would stay with Graham for now because Piper's routine mattered.